The gentleman glanced at the little match girl with sympathy and then left. The little match girl was very sad. Not only did she fail to earn the money to buy medicine for her mother, but she even lost the money she had saved for a long time. It had been a whole day, and she hadn't sold a single match, and no one had given her a penny. Trembling from being cold and hungry, poor little match girl. Snowflakes fell on her long hair, which hung around her head in beautiful curls. The little match girl walked aimlessly on the street. She was afraid to go home because she had not earned the money to buy medicine for her mother. At this time, the little match girl walked to a shop window. A beautiful dress was displayed in the window. It was such a gorgeous dress, and the pale blue velvet fabric was soft and luxurious. At its waist, there was a huge bow, even bigger than the top hat that goes with the dress.
If only my mom could wear this dress. Even just once. No, even just try it on. She would be beautiful in this dress because my mom is the most beautiful person in the world.
The snow was getting heavier and heavier. The little match girl's thin clothes were unable to withstand the cold wind. She walked to a corner. In the corner formed by two houses, one of which projected farther out into the street than the other, she sat down and drew up her little feet under her. Besides, she thought, it was cold at home, for they had nothing over them but a roof, through which the wind whistled even though the biggest cracks had been stuffed with straw and rags. Her hands were almost dead with cold. Oh, how much one little match might warm her. If she could only take one from the box and rub it against the wall and warm her hands. She drew one out. How it sputtered and burned. It made a warm, bright flame like a little candle as she held her hands over it. But it gave a strange light. She seemed to have entered a warm room with an iron stove roaring. The fire was burning very brightly. She could even hear the crackling of dry wood as it burned. It really seemed to the little match girl as if she were sitting before the great iron stove with shining brass knobs and a brass cover. How wonderfully the fire burned. How comfortable it was. So, she stretched out her feet to warm them.
It's so warm here.
Then the little flame went out. The stove vanished, and she had only the remains of the burnt match in her hand. She struck another match against the wall. It burned brightly, and when the light fell upon the wall, it became transparent like a thin veil, and she could see through it into a room. On the table, a snow-white cloth was spread, and on it stood a shining dinner service. The roast goose steamed gloriously, stuffed with apples and prunes. And what was still better, the goose jumped down from the dish and waddled along the floor with a knife and fork in its breast, right over to the little match girl. Then the match went out, and she could see only the thick, cold wall. She lit another match. Then she saw the New Year's lights and fireworks. The lights were brighter than she had seen in the city center. Fireworks were lit one by one, illuminating the night sky brighter than the day. The match went out. Cold and hunger came again. Finally, she struck the whole bundle of matches. She saw that she was wearing a scarf, just like those kids had. Immediately afterwards, the doorbell rang, and her father returned from the doctor with the medicine he had bought for his wife. Her mother, recovering from her illness, was getting up from the bed and walking towards her with a smile. The roast goose had an enticing aroma on the plate. The roof of the house was no longer cracked, and there was a huge iron stove in the house which gave so much heat that little girl even started to sweat. The family was eating roast goose around the stove, laughing and saying Happy New Year. As the New Year's bell struck, they hugged each other. The little match girl smiled happily.
Here she is! I found my daughter!
The little match girl opened her eyes dimly and found herself being hugged tightly by her father. Tears filled her father's eyes.
I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't make any money. My New Year's wish is to get my mother cured.
And my New Year's wish is that you are safe and warm, and the three of us will spend the New Year together.